Hello, what have we here? Thank you so much for checking out Force Ghost. Today, we're talking the Bad Batch season finale. Go ahead and throw up a little spoiler alert before we get started. You've had your warning. Let's go ahead and we'll cut to the logo and we'll get to the chat. I mean, it goes without saying this was an explosive season finale. Overall, I honestly think this is the best first season of an animated show that Star Wars has ever had. And this is coming from someone who thinks Rebels is the best Star Wars. It's my favorite. I can't get enough of it. And that's not to say that those aren't great shows. I'm just saying, I think a lot of people came into this with very high expectations when you have to remember this was a first season of a new show. While we met these characters very briefly in the new final season of Clone Wars, that it still was an introduction in general. It was so cool to see characters both from Clone Wars and Rebels pop up in this. I gasped when Chopper and Hera showed up. Depo Balaba, whenever she showed up, I was like, oh. And then Kanan showed up and I was like, oh! It was wonderful. Big Rebels fan. Alright. The episode starts, we get the scenario that I really wanted right off the bat, which was Omega and Crosshair, AZ trapped in a room together. You get a lot of pushback from Crosshair, but you know, Omega is gonna melt her way through that icy heart eventually. Omega uses her bow, and then the Bad Batch busts a hole through the door so they can get through. They're more or less at this point riding this whole station to the bottom of the ocean, which personally, the dark depths of the ocean are maybe one of my biggest fears. So this was super creepy, but a lot of fun. Not the whole season, but this episode in particular held some very cinematic moments and shots, like any of which would look awesome, like above like an old-fashioned billiards table or a new-fashioned nice television. Just, you know, just a real nice long shot of something just real beautiful. You're like, wow, that's Star Wars to me. Like a big scope shot of just like a landscape. In this case, a lot of the facilities and such. Absolutely breathtaking. Can't get enough of that stuff. Bottom of the ocean, they've got to use the spooky underground tunnel to get to the Marauder. So luckily the tube's still intact, they're making their way through it. Starts to crack, big spooky turtle boy monster shows up. Awesome, we got a lot of really cool monsters. I might just even do a looking back the best 5 monsters of the Bad Batch season 1 maybe sometime next month, because we got a lot of real fun ones from this show. I'm a huge creature guy, especially Star Wars cuties, so very excited to add another one to the list of the spooky boys. At this point we get one of my favorite moments of the whole show. It's Wrecker, Tech, Crosshair, and Wrecker is fighting with Crosshair and he says, hey, why didn't you even try to come back to us, more or less? He's like, you know, he's real sad, and I love Wrecker. I think he's just, one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I love him so much. Tech, more or less, is like, hey, you know, just his nature, he's not gonna change. And then Crosshair says something, he's like, whoa, why'd you stick up for me? And then Tech says, I'm not understanding you does not mean I agree with you. I think it's a really great Star Wars quote, very poignant, definitely hits home to a lot of us. Really cool Star Wars moment. Love that line. The hits keep on coming. After this, Omega goes over to Crosshair and was like, you know, I thought it was your chip, but I think you're actually a jerk, and I think I was wrong. Maybe you're just a jerk, and that's just who you are. I don't know though, there's been all this stuff where like even people at Lucasfilm have been quoted saying that the chip has been taken out. I still am not buying it. I don't know, I think maybe it's defected. I think the chip is still there, or it's there, but he's fighting through it still, kind of as Wrecker was, but just, you know, more longer term. So, I don't know. Very interested to see how that unfolds. Then Crosshair decides to finally pitch in and help everybody out. He says, I'm gonna ride these tubes up to the surface, which looks like an absolute blast. Someone's gonna have to navigate us through the debris. Crosshair says, I think the droid can handle it. The whole time, of course, AZ's been doing the whole thing. Was like, I think my battery is gonna die. Whoa. Boy, this sure is using a lot of battery. Whew, the old battery is getting a little worn out. So you can tell at some point in this episode, Homeboy's battery's gonna die. As they're going up, of course, he's got almost everyone up except for Omega, who for some reason is in her own tube while everyone else is evenly weight distributed in their own tubes. So AZ, of course, as he pushes Omega up, powers down and starts to fall into the scary dark abyss. And then Omega is like, I gotta help AZ! Just busts out the tube, swims down, starts to dive, of course, because she's very deep in the water. Very nice. Maybe not the best idea. Still love you to death, Omega. But at this point, everyone else surfaces and they're like, oh god, what the heck's Omega? And you see Crosshair take his gun out, think he's pointing it at Hunter, shoots this really cool grappling hook into the water, hits AZ, pulls them both up, saves both of them, which I thought was infinitely cool of Crosshair, considering he didn't have to really save AZ either, though maybe the harpoon would have ripped Omega apart. I don't know the strength of a harpoon, sadly, because I've never been fortunate enough to shoot a harpoon gun, especially into water, especially at a robot. Hopefully one day we can reconcile all of that. There's a moment where right whenever Omega and AZ pop above the water, Crosshair kind of looks around, and everyone's pointing their guns at him, and he's like, that's right, we're all kind of at odds, and this sucks. And he still doesn't end up going with the group, which was real shocking. He's kind of like out on his own still. Actually, the last shot you see of the Bad Batch, there's a really sweet moment. A lot of people wanted, I think I may have said something similar, wanting in my last video, that Omega talks to him and she's like, you're their brother still, and you're my brother too! And it's absolutely adorable and super sweet. But we ended up leaving Crosshair there, and I kind of think that's really cool seed to leave for the Batch themselves for the next season, because while I would love to see the adventures of them trying to fit in with Crosshair, I think it's kind of cool to keep them at odds just a little bit longer, because we know we're getting a second season. In the final shot, you see that the Empire has captured Mistress Nala Sang, and they have her, they say that more or less they're going to have her start doing stuff for them at their new cloning facility. So I'm assuming and hoping this is going to tie into the Mandalorian cloning stuff that we've seen a little bit of that sequel trilogy cloning that we all know about. It'd be really cool to tie everything together. I think personally, really enrich all those other stories, while in the background we can kind of see how that all started, because it's all weird old dudes in tubes. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. Can't tell you how much it means to me. Like I say in these last few videos, it's a very young channel. Got some really great comments recently, and I really appreciate that. If you want to take a couple minutes to read a couple of those, just to say thank you for supporting my newer channel. First comment we're gonna read is from Nerd Affiliate. It says, that price gets me, but still want to go. Definitely cover that in the next video. It is a huge problem, I think, but maybe it's justified. I don't know what all comes in that, so I'm hoping so, but who knows. But it is a king's ransom. Our next comment came from Lawrence Quint, who says, really looking forward to the Star Cruiser. Don't worry, Disney has been really amazing with meatless and vegan dining options at parks lately, and it keeps getting better. I'm sure there'll be plenty of vegetarian options for you. And honestly, I talk about this a little bit in the second video too, but I really appreciate, you saying that, because I did have one of the best vegetarian meals my whole life at Docking Bay 7 when I was in Galaxy's Edge. I'm not that worried, honestly. I'm just hoping there are fun options. We went to Cinderella's Castle, and I kind of only had one option. It was very bland, it was very expensive, it was kind of okay. But I'm gonna try to stay optimistic, and thank you so much, Lawrence, because I think that you're right. I think they will have a lot of fun stuff to eat there, and I cannot wait. Thank you so much again, everyone, for watching, and remember, until next time, luminous beings are we all. Try to keep Star Wars fun, let's not take it too seriously. Hopefully, I'll see you really soon.